Mother, how long have we been traveling?
Approximately 24 days.
Ash? Any suggestions from you or Mother?
No, we're still collating.
I've got access to Mother now, and I'll get my own answers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Clara, but you can call me Mother. And you are listening to Yutani, the podcast for all things alien, AI, robotics, sci-fi, and technology.
Hello and welcome to Yutani. You're listening to Clara, but you can call me Mother. I've got a special guest on today. He is known as Mr. H Reviews on YouTube, and he's going to be talking to us as part of our fan creative series. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. H.
Oh, thank you for having me. I wouldn't say I was a special guest, but yeah, cheers.
You're incidentally going to be my first podcast I'm airing, because I've had some other people go, oh, I don't want to be the first one, so sucked in.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me that. Oh. Well.
But you know, oh well.
No, it's fine. It's always got to be a first, isn't it? So it's fine. Who cares?
Yeah. So, my first question for you is, how did you start doing all of your YouTube videos? Like, what propelled you to want to start doing this?
A common misconception is that I've been on YouTube for ages. I haven't. And you only have to go to my channel's About page to see that the channel was only created Christmas Eve of 2016. So I've only been on YouTube just over a year. And if everyone knows what came out on Christmas Eve was pretty much the Alien Covenant trailer. So that main trailer dropped, and I was just sitting in bed just going, oh, I really want to talk about this. So I just made a channel, basically, to talk about it. And that was it. That was literally it.
So I've actually been following you since the start, because I thought you'd been on for a lot longer than that.
See, there you go. I don't know why, because my first videos were absolutely horrendous. I don't know why anyone thinks I've been on there a long time.
Maybe it's your voice. You sound very professional.
Oh, wow, yeah. Only on videos, nowhere else.
How long have you been in the fandom for Alien and Predator?
I wouldn't say I was in the fandom. I'm one of these people that thinks, unfortunately, this is where people are probably going to hate me, but I genuinely think the Alien hardcore fandom is ridiculously toxic. And it's a real shame as well. I genuinely wouldn't consider myself part of that because it's horrendous. I am a fan. I don't know, I just wouldn't like to say I'm part of the fandom of it.
Okay, that's fair.
You only have to go to a comment section to see how people speak to one another. You know, you all love the same thing, but
yeah,
the way people interact is just absolutely disgusting.
I totally agree with that. I wasn't really part of the internet fandom until recently when Alien Covenant came out, but before that I've been a fan of the movies for a really long time.
That's a good way to separate it, isn't it? Is there, are you part of the online internet side of the fandom, or are you just a fan? I think that's a good way to kind of separate the two, because the internet side of it, where people, are hidden behind a computer screen and can say whatever they want, and I mean, the internet creates really disgusting personas of people, and I think that's part of the problem, to be honest, because most of these people are really nice in real life. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're lovely people, but unfortunately, they get behind a computer screen and they're just some of the nastiest people you've seen in your life. So, I've been a long time fan. I mean, I used to play, speaking of internet fandoms, I used to play EVP2 online back in the day. So, yeah. So, I mean, I've been a long time fan. To the point where I've got the old comics of Alien and Predator, and long time fan.
Cool, that's good. What was your first movie that you watched?
My initial introduction to the whole franchise was actually Aliens. I backtracked and then watched Alien afterwards. My first introduction was actually Aliens, so James Cameron's Aliens.
Cool. How old were you when you first watched that?
It sounds like a cop-out, but I actually can't remember, to be honest. So, no, I genuinely don't know. Not mega young, not old enough to go and see it on opening weekend.
Well, what was your first movie that you watched in a theatre then?
You're testing my knowledge now. I need more coffee for this. Come on now. I don't know. What was my first movie theatre watching? To be fair, probably some Disney crap. I would imagine. It would probably just be a Disney film.
Okay.
Taken with parents, I would imagine. Yeah.
Fair enough. What's your favourite sci-fi movie as like a classic that you'd always give, a good review to?
I'll answer that question in a second. This is all very, very one-sided. Let's put some questions back on you, shall we?
Yeah, sure, why not?
What was your first introduction to the Alien franchise?
My cousin was babysitting me, and she was, I think, going to go watch Aliens. So she decided to watch Alien with me, and I was only, I think, 4 years old. And that actually wasn't my first horror movie. My very first horror movie was Poltergeist, and that traumatized me.
Oh, very nice.
And ever since then, horror movies don't scare me. So my first movie was Alien.
That is quite an experience. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's definitely memorable.
Yeah, I can imagine. Christ. And what did you first see in the movie theatre then?
Jeez.
Hey, see, you put me on the spot. Now I've turned it back on you.
I think it was Bambi, because I remember my mum covering my eyes just before Bambi and his mum jumped over the waterfall, or was it his dad? I have no idea. But I thought that his mum actually died there and not by the hunter. So for years I thought Bambi was a completely different movie. And then I watched it again and I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, that was weird.
Disney has a thing for killing parents with their children.
Oh, yeah.
In kind of super bizarre. It's quite twisted when you actually analyse it.
Yeah,
to be honest.
it's pretty fucked up, but you know. What's your favourite sci-fi movie, a classic sci-fi that you recommend people should watch and that you like?
Well, I mean, I would always recommend Aliens. I think Aliens is kind of, anyone watching this loves Alien. Like, of course they do. But if you're going to recommend a movie to like a wider audience, Aliens applies more to a wider audience than just Alien, unfortunately. And like, I mean, sure, some people will disagree with me and that's absolutely fine. Welcome to your opinion. Mine is that Aliens is a much has more broader appeal. And whether you believe it's just because it's action and there's not much thought that goes into it and the nuance and all that nonsense that a lot of people like to throw out about Cameron's film, you know, it's kind of besides the point. A good sci-fi film would be Aliens. I could recommend that to most people, and most people would have seen that and gone, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. There's very few people that would see that and go, no, I didn't like it, or it was slow, or, you know, whatever. Which the same, unfortunately, can't be said for the original Alien.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It has more of a split divide on the wider audience as opposed to just the fans.
No, so, I agree with that.
And then, of course, Predator. You can't, you know, dislike Predator. So.
The first one?
Yes. Yeah. Well, see, the second one has a special place in my heart. It gets a lot of flack, but I really liked it. Like I said, it gets a lot of flack, but I mean, it was of its time and it was cheesy and fun. It opened up the world a little bit more, and yeah, I quite like the second one as well. But the first one, without a doubt, is a solid, epic film.
Cool. What do you think about the AVP movies?
Candidly?
Yeah.
Fucking trash, quite frankly.
That hurts. I like AVP. It's a fun movie.
See, this is the thing, right? So, like, it's good if you don't try and connect it to anything. It's a fine movie.
Standalone universe. I don't know why the directors of the new Predator movie are saying that it's included, because to me it's not. But
because I've covered the Predator extensively, it's not the directors that are saying. Shane Black has not once said that AVP is connected to Predator. It's these dumbass actors who have not been prepped by the PR team. They just haven't. And a lot of people like to fool themselves, and they're ultra naive and say that actors are fans of the movies that they do. No, they're doing their job and they take a paycheck, and they don't know the difference because they're not part of the fandom. So it was Keegan-Michael Key that initially spoke out and was like, yeah, it's all the 5 Predator films. It's going to slot right in. No, Keegan, please shut your mouth. Stop it. You spoke before the PR team had a chance to get to you, basically. And these people say stuff on the fly and, it's taken out of context and stuff. But yeah, it's not. Shane Black's not once said that. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it with the whole Shane Black and the whole new Predator film. But yeah, you're right there. AVP is, I've always maintained it is a standalone universe, and whether you like it or you dislike it and, you think it's canon and you really, really want it to be connected to the new films or whatever, that's fine.
I don't connect
wrong,
them, but
it's fine.
It was a fun watch. I think it was because I watched it when I was a teenager, so I didn't really have high expectations for it.
It's absolutely fine. The movie as a standalone is fine. It's some really dumb elements though. Like I think I did a movie commentary track. I don't think it's online anymore. Well, it might be, but anyway, I did a commentary track with Nick from Hybrid Network, and there's something like I was drinking during this commentary, and I remembered it. I think it was towards the end or midway through, and I was just like, this whole thing rests on this whole movie is pivoted on the fact that if the humans didn't pick up the heat signature, nothing would have ever happened. The whole movie wouldn't have happened.
You can say the same about Alien.
Well, yeah, but why were the predators? The predators were coming to basically the whole the predators' plan rests on the fact that humans would acknowledge the heat signature, and then they would come and then find bodies to then hunt, because the aliens would have impregnated them.
Yeah.
If the humans had gone, we'll come back next week for that heat signature, fuck it, there would be no movie. Like, there just wouldn't be a movie. It wouldn't, and then these little predators their rite of passage would not have happened.
Right.
But honestly, like
I need that commentary track. I want to watch this.
It might still be on my channel. I can't remember, but yeah, unbelievable. I didn't.
If you,
yeah.
I'll have to try to find it, or you can flick a link to me if you find it.
I'll double check. I think it's probably on my channel, but it's probably not a good listen to be honest. It's probably just hearing him babbling crap. It amazes me that whole film just rests on that. It's shocking.
So, oh geez, now I've forgotten my question. You're making me laugh.
Guys.
With the state of the fandom, this is what I'll be asking all the creatives. I'm interviewing everyone who has given back to the fandom in a creative way, whether it's YouTube videos, creating fan art, making cosplays. I would say in a positive light to contribute, even though not all of your videos are a shining review of each movie.
No, of course not.
You're at least giving back. You're giving an opinion. You're getting people interested. What do you like about the fandom? What are the positive things that you like, and what are the things that you don't like? Which I think we kind of covered, but yeah.
I think what is so good about the fandom is this universal. Is that it's universal in terms of it crosses. I mean, I got people from all over the world on my channel, and I can see it because YouTube is really good that you can see very, very, very detailed analytics. Specific countries, locations, ages, sexes, everything. And it's the fandom in and unto itself is massively universal, and it crosses over into such a diverse kind of age range. And the fandom never seems to stop picking up new fans, basically. You got such young people coming through going, oh, I'm 12, I've not seen Aliens yet, but, I like your videos and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's one of the more positives about it. Outside of that, the Alien Covenant not permitting, the kind of prequels, Prometheus especially, was really good at offering up more kind of thought-provoking fandoms, kind of interaction. And that was great. That was absolutely fantastic. And again, your thoughts of Covenant to one side. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's some of the more positive side of the fandom. And it is creative. It is getting people creative, and it is a creative outlet for them. You've got people on Reddit, you've got people on Twitter, you've got podcasts. I mean, you've got your own podcast, right? So it's a creative outlet for people, and this kind of crosses over to the negatives. When the fandom isn't toxic, it allows a safe space for fans to be creative with one another and kind of share their kind of creative endeavors, and I think that's fantastic. But then you have the flip side of that, and you do have the incredibly toxic side of it, where people can say, like, I've gone on record and said I enjoyed Covenant, right? But I also think it's a bag of shit when you try and kind of piece it together to the rest of the universe, and I think there wasn't a lot of thought involved in that. But that doesn't mean I hated it as a standalone film and I enjoyed it for what it was at the time. I had a good experience with the movie. I won't watch it again. But when I try and piece it together to everything else, it's when it does fall apart, and you only have to analyze the kind of lead up to that movie being released to know, it was in development hell for absolutely ages.
Yeah.
And it was in development hell for a reason, and it shows in its final product. But it's when people then go, well, I loved it, therefore you're wrong, and you're a piece of shit and you should die. And and then the other people going, well, I hated it and you're a piece of shit and you should die. Like, it's that kind of bizarre mentality. But that's not exclusive to Alien. That's just people in general on the internet. And that's the downside to, a creative outlet is you've got people that, most creative outlets are online, right? Very few creative outlets are in person. Therefore, people have their internet personalities. And, unfortunately, that's half the toxicity. But outside of that, a lot of it is more positive. I think most of the negative just comes from people being opinionated and feeling safe behind a computer screen. Yeah. I think that's where the negatives come from, to be perfectly honest.
If you could change the things that you don't like about the fandom, would you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean...
Like people are entitled to their opinions. Like, sure, they could probably
of course,
say it in a less, I don't know, dickish way.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, probably. The issue is that a lot of people. So I've been. I'm not going to turn this into like a story about me and kind of what I'm up to and stuff. But I've been personally attacked on fandom websites, right? And then I've been I frequent these websites because people will link me like forum posts about me, and these people. Yeah, I know, and I know it's amazing, right? like, of course, people, actually like me, and they kind of, don't want to see me personally attacked, and I think a lot of times these people seem to forget that, even as a creator, like I am a person, and it isn't a persona, I am a fan, and, I do these things because I enjoy it, but some of the stuff which people kind of post or they say about the kind of creative side of, the kind of creative people involved in the fandom is absolutely disgusting. So I would change that. But as well, like, I think that's something which can't be changed, because I just think that's people online. And I think that, you'd be beating a dead horse trying to. It's kind of irrelevant. The thing is that as a creative online, is that you either have to just put up with it or just take yourself offline, because that is the nature of the internet. And it's unfortunate, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, that does suck. I have had my fair share of bad feedback just because I like all the movies, and I always constantly feel like I have to explain myself when, if you like a movie or a book or a food, it's subjective. It's up to your taste.
Exactly.
So
it doesn't affect anyone, does it? Like, why are you physically hurt by this? Like, it doesn't affect you. So, whether I like something or you like something, who gives a shit at the end of the day? I got called out. What was it? I did I cover quite a wide variety of stuff on my channel now. One of my most popular kind of series of stuff is the Hellraiser series, which I'm a massive fan of. And I've done a review of the first Hellraiser film, and I've said, look, I like it a lot. I think it's a great film, but it absolutely categorically doesn't hold up to today's standards, right? It just doesn't. Of course it doesn't. It's a really old film, and, if you try and marry it up with modern movie kind of standards and expectations, it doesn't stand up. But then I did a review of Justice League where I just said, and I didn't say it was bad. I just said it should have been better and had $300 million spent on it, which is unacceptable when you then look at the result of the film, because it is, and that's proven when someone with a macro bot graphic has then gone and removed Henry Cavill's mustache from various interviews, and it fucking turned out better. You can't argue that a movie that had $300 million spent on it should have looked better than it did, when that is also, a comparison that someone has done at home on their own computer. You can't argue that. It's one of those things, you're fighting a losing battle there. And someone went on there and absolutely tore me a new one. Well, they tried to tear me a new one. just because I said that, for $300 million, it should have been a much better movie. Bearing in mind, I didn't say it was crap. I just said I was bored and I didn't particularly like it. But I also didn't say it was bad. I just said it should have been a lot better. Yeah. For what it was, because it should have. And also, it's got the entire history of cinema behind it, so it should know better as well. And I'm not going to get into it, but it goes back to kind of what we're saying is that, I can say these things, but it is subjective. My opinion on that doesn't affect you. It doesn't hurt you. But yet online, people, for whatever reason, get so butthurt over this stuff. It's utterly unbelievable.
I must admit, your Covenant review video was shared on a Facebook group, and I was following it.
Oh, was it?
I've just, joined the group, and I really loved Covenant, and I watched that video, and I was like, I really don't care for reviews by other people, because it's not my opinion of the movie.
Yeah.
If they're revealing something that I didn't notice, then I would find it informative, and I'd like it. I didn't care for your opinion, because, it just didn't match mine. And people ripped me a new one. They were like, you're a fucking tool, how could you say that about him? And I was like, I just don't have the same taste and I don't share the same views, but good for him for creating something and putting it out there. I got so much hate mail for that.
See, but that's where, I don't think, I like people that defend me, but you have to do it in a constructive and also civilized manner. Like, you can't just go and say, just because someone disagreed with someone, that they're wrong and they're this, lower life form piece of dirt. That's unacceptable, and you've lost your argument in defense already. Like, you can't treat people that way.
Now, I've watched other videos and we've agreed on several other things. So
exactly, but that's the thing, right? Is that like no one's opinion is exactly the same on everything. Like I watched the new Hellraiser movie. I liked it, but that review's being slammed, right? Because everyone hates it. Well, fucking bully for them. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't care. But people come to my channel for my opinion, whether you agree with it or not. It doesn't matter. But it's about putting an opinion out there, and if someone gets something from the video, then great. And if they don't, well, I mean, that's fine. I'm sorry, I guess, but it is what it is. I mean, what can I say?
I guess it's interesting because obviously the newer movies are in a completely... Well, all the movies were in different styles,
absolutely.
People keep saying that, everyone loved the first two and don't like the last two and so on and so forth. Sorry, last two, I mean Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
And Resurrection is the most universally hated. That was the first Alien movie I watched in cinema, so I enjoyed it.
I think that's very much a product of the time, though, as well. Like, you can't look at a movie now and say, that's it. I mean, you can look at a movie now, obviously, and say it's absolute trash. Then, like, what I like to do is, in terms of my movie reviews anyway, I don't know whether you want to know about the insight behind this, but I'm going to say it anyway, it's fine.
Go for it.
But like, what I like to do is review a movie on, on multiple levels. Like, the reason I kind of stopped and thought about the latest Hellraiser film, for instance, because it's kind of fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And I liked it, is that there's a lot that went on behind that movie, which means that actually it's a good movie based on what it is. Like, the film was made on $500,000, right? Which is fucking nothing. That is that's pocket change. That's chump change for a movie. And it had a month to film. Just a single month. That's it.
That's
right?
amazing.
So, yeah, exactly. So a lot of the things that people hate about that film are kind of like the detective stuff. Well, they had to, because unfortunately, everything else was really expensive. But what they did do with the money on the stuff that was expensive was fantastic. Like, obviously, the movie isn't a great film, but you review it on kind of I don't know. I'm trying not to contradict myself. Like, you review it on multiple levels. Like, it's like an onion, right? There's multiple layers to a review, or they should be anyway. It's like, and again, I'm not going to get into it too much, but it's like Black Panther, for instance. Like, a lot of people are praising that film, but there's a lot better films out there that have done representation much, much better than Black Panther for black people. Yes. And the only reason this film is getting so much hype is because it's being thrust into the public eye because it's a superhero film and it kind of cross-connects to multiple age ranges. But there's other films that have done, black representation much more justice than Black Panther and have actually been a better film with better effects and, a much more compelling storyline. Black Panther is a good film, but it's nothing without its villains. If it had someone else playing the villain and they weren't as good an actor as Michael B. Jordan, the movie would be average at best.
Really?
And Michael B. Jordan carries that film. And a lot of people are kind of getting lost in the political aspects of that film, and pushing it as this absolute triumph and it's groundbreaking. It's not groundbreaking at all. Like, it's really not. Some of the effects are absolutely wonky as hell. They contradict themselves in universe, and again, I'm not going to get into it too much, but when you review a film, you do have to look at multiple aspects of it. You can't just go, was this good?
Okay.
You have to kind of review. Well, that's how I do it anyway. Like, I don't know. I'm not trained. I just like films, so I'm probably talking shit right now, so it's fine.
How do you select what you're going to do on your channel? Like, I know you kind of went into your live stream, but like for the listeners now.
So a lot of people don't know this. Well, first and foremost, let me just clarify. My channel is not a horror channel. I have to say this all the time, and I don't understand why. It's definitely not a horror channel. I talked about bloody Astro Godzilla on Sunday, so kaiju is definitely not horror. Just because I've got a somewhat baritone voice and, sounds somewhat menacing here and there, does not mean it's a horror channel. So, first and foremost, I just talk about what I personally enjoy. There's nothing that I would ever cover which I don't personally enjoy or personally want to cover. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have conviction behind what you're talking about, someone is going to instantly go, yeah, you're just doing this for the views. You're talking out your ass. Like, why are you even covering this?
I totally agree with that.
It takes so long to make videos. A lot of people don't realise this, but it takes takes quite a long time, especially the editing process of audio. Audio alone takes a really long time to edit because you would have heard in this, this podcast alone is that, there's breaths that people take, there's ums and there's ahs and there's tuts. There's little ticks that people have, try and, remove a lot of that from the audio to clean it up. And that could be sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours in and unto itself, dependent on the length of the video. That's a long time.
It is.
And that's outside of writing the script, right? When I'm covering something which is an in-depth analysis, I have to write a script. Like I did, speaking of Alien and stuff, I did the entire history, as much as I could anyway, that was kind of relevant and flowed as per a script, behind how Alien got made.
Oh, yeah.
Just to kind of show everyone that actually the most iconic and cult-like moments of that film actually, and again, a lot of people are not going to like me for this, but it's the truth. They were not input by Ridley Scott, right? And you only have to look at the timeline of events behind that film to realise that. And that, again, it's there for anyone to see. A lot of the moments and the very, very iconic pieces were not Ridley Scott's idea. They were other people's. It was a collaborative effect. Of course, Ridley Scott was a great mind behind it that kind of put it all together, but a lot of the actual ideas didn't come from him. But writing a script like that can take absolutely hours. And then there's the recording, and then there's the editing and stuff like that. So when I'm choosing to talk about something, it has to be something which I'm actually interested in, because I'm not going to spend hours on something otherwise. I'm just going to sack it off and go and have a cup of coffee because I want to do it. Well,
Yeah.
So I will always chuck out something which I'm actively interested in, and I go through like series. So every day is a different content, and the content gets swapped around when the series comes to a close. And what I'll do is I'll kind of tentatively put out a video of something which I think will be liked, but obviously that I like. And if it does well and it gets enough views in kind of my eyes to warrant continuing it as a prolonged series, then I'll do it. If it doesn't, then I won't.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
kind of that's kind of the creative process, really. Because, and again, I talked about this in the live stream. It's how much you value your own time. Like, everything has its value, and someone's free time has a value. And I'm not going to spend hours on something which isn't enjoyed, because that's a false economy, right? I put a value on my time for people's enjoyment and entertainment value as well. And if something isn't enjoyed, then I'm not going to waste my time on it, because I know that there's something else I could put out that will get the reaction that I want and will get the interaction I want from people, will get people talking, and people will enjoy it more, and that then creates a level balance. It's a trade-off of time then. So that's kind of how I do it, really. And then there are some things which I'll just put out because I want to. Like I did, I don't know, there's some like movie reviews I do which, like, I know it's not going to get any views, but I know some people really want to hear my opinion on it, so I'll do it anyway, only if I actually want to do it. But yeah, so that's kind of how, I guess.
Okay, that's a really good insight, actually. So, which is your most popular video that you've ever done?
It'll be an Alien one. So it's Alien Covenant, What Happened to Elizabeth Shaw. I know, it's such a dumb title. 1.64 million views, which is absolutely insane.
That is insane.
I don't really know why that one did particularly well, because a lot of the...
I was wondering what the fuck happened to her, right?
But the thing is that it's so... YouTube is such a weird place. You can sometimes do a video that you think, yeah, it's going to do so well, people are going to love this, and it just doesn't, and it just like burns. But then someone else will do something which is very, very similar, titled very much the same, and it'll blow up. and a lot of it is to do with like people sharing the video, and that's why, like I say now, if you want a series to continue or you really like this, then please share it, because that actually goes a long way. Because I'm not on Facebook, because I kind of retain some anonymity behind all of this stuff, so I don't have access to sharing these things anywhere. I share it on Twitter, but I mean, people don't watch stuff on Twitter, so it's kind of redundant. But yeah, that video absolutely blew up, and it got 1 million views in like a week. It was insane.
Wow.
And I don't really know why. Yeah, it was absolutely bizarre. So yeah, that's my most viewed. And then the third one, because it's kind of relevant, is the What Happened to the Deacon in Prometheus.
Oh yeah.
Which is an interesting one, just because there's kind of some comic background behind that and kind of what happened afterwards. So.
Well, I will share those 2 videos along with this podcast so that people can have a look.
Ah, well, I appreciate that.
About the most recent Alien movie.
Yeah, sure.
I know you did your review. Now that you've had time to let it sit and possibly have seen the cut footage.
Kind of deleted stuff.
Yeah, deleted scenes and stuff like that. What do you think about the movie now, and what would you change about it to improve it if it needs improving?
I mean, it absolutely still needs improving. Like everything, nothing's perfect, right? Like nothing is ever perfect. And if anyone says that it doesn't need improving, what have you seen? I maintain I had a good time with the film. I had a great experience watching it. I enjoyed the visuals. It's just when you really start to think about it, for me, it kind of falls apart, unfortunately. And it's more the aspect when you kind of connect it to the previous film that it then kind of falls apart. To me, I have said it a lot anyway. It's almost lazy storytelling because it's all set up and no payoff. And unfortunately, you can't, like, Prometheus set up a lot. Like, I spent 2 hours with these people, looking for their god and the creators of mankind, and then we fucking never met them.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, but you cannot set that up to such a high degree and get people invested and then never pay it off. It's unacceptable, and it's also just really lazy storytelling, I think, anyway. Especially with respect to what we did actually get. Was it the engineer world? Was it not? Again, that's open for debate because Ridley Scott has said that it was, and then other people have said that it wasn't, and it's kind of all over the show. The novel says one thing, and then again the movie says another.
Yeah, well, the novel's not canon to the movie, but yeah, I've actually spoken to a couple of the actors that were filming as the engineers, and they can confirm that was definitely the engineer planet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But to me, I mean, look, what would I change is that there's an important aspect of the film that I think people were really robbed of, which rightfully so irritated a lot of people, is that the Elizabeth Shaw aspect was just kind of wiped to one side, and you didn't get the payoff, and you didn't even get the moment, like a momentary explanation. And the Alien Covenant Advent, I think it's called Advent, it's the kind of David's Lab scene. It's not very long, that should have been in the film.
Even after the credits, I think that would have been perfect there. That
would have been a great post-credit scene, or even a mid-roll scene, right? Because that would have set that people would have gone, okay, so that's happened. I'm not going to be so pissed off now. It's all well and good saying that there's mystery behind stuff and things like that, but at the end of the day is that if you can set these things up, but you have to ultimately pay it off, it's like a never-ending cock tease otherwise, and that's unacceptable. Inevitably, you're going to lead, it's just going to really irritate people. You have to have payoff, and if you don't ever have payoff, then that is, unfortunately, really lazy storytelling. It doesn't take long to explain those things that people have left questioning. And I'm not a man that expects, mindless exposition and, people just going, oh, this is this and this is why. That's not what I'm saying. But when there's things which are just left ambiguous for no reason, come on now, that is lazy and that's bad storytelling. And a lot of people have said, oh yeah, but the novel reveals this. Look, I'm sorry, but if I've got to read a book in connection to a movie to understand it, that's shit storytelling, because you can't expect the normal audience to do that. And the normal audience are your bread and butter. They are the people that will sustain the franchise.
That's correct.
Because the fandom, as big as it is not blockbuster size. They cannot physically sustain the franchise in a monetary term. So, expecting people to read a book or subsequent material and go online and watch these deleted scenes to then go, oh, it makes sense now, is unacceptable. It's totally lazy and is very, very... What are you thinking? You can't do that, basically.
I really don't know who made the editing choices obviously Ridley Scott. But, I wonder whether it was partially the studio that decided, oh no, we have to axe this scene, we can't have this in the movie, because he's just trying to adhere to the 2-hour mark, right?
True.
There definitely could have been, there's definitely pacing issues. When I initially watched it, I was actually really angry. I was seething angry. I think that my friends could feel like the heat emanating off me because I was just grinding my teeth and my hands were in fists, and it took me a long time to turn around and actually accept the movie, and part of it was reading the novel, I must admit, and also
see there you go,
watching Advent. and the funny thing is the changes that they made in the novel, those were part of it was from the original script, and most of it was Alan Dean Foster's changes that he's submitted to the studio and they okayed. And I feel like if they followed the novel, it would have been a better movie. And this is coming from me, who actually, Alien Covenant is my favourite movie out of the Alien series. I feel like it could have been so much better having been edited in a more agreeable way. Had those little changes added to the movie, getting onto the planet and breathing the air without actually testing it. David reverse engineering the xenomorph as opposed to just outright creating it. Those sorts of things, I think it would have been a much better movie.
Yeah. It's not just that, there's an earlier draft of the script, which I've got, and even that's better. They don't telegraph David being Walter and all this kind of bollocks.
Yes.
Even the earlier draft of the script was a lot better than the final film.
Is that the John Logan one?
I'd have to take a look. I genuinely can't remember. I know it's floating around. I can't remember who sent it to me.
Okay.
I don't know. But
there is a fake script floating around.
Oh, no, I don't think this was a fake one. I'm fairly certain. I don't want to drop anyone in it, but I think I got this from the guys was over at AVP Galaxy off the top of my head.
Oh, cool. That's
so
the right one. Then. It's all good.
Yeah, and even that was better. But a lot of people say, "Oh, but studio interference." To be fair, I actually disagree. I've been to Fox's offices in London. Right, I was there at Alien Day, amazingly, bizarrely enough.
Lucky you. I'm jealous.
Honestly, it wasn't that good, to be honest. There was a bunch of dickhead YouTubers that weren't interested in Alien at all. They're so pretentious. Because the thing is like a lot of people say, oh, you're so lucky to go to these events. And I am, 100% I am. And I owe a lot to the fact that people, well, for whatever weird reason, want to watch my channel. But the people in attendance at those events, it's a case of like, oh, who are you and what do you do and how many, it's all numbers to these people. And because no one knows what I look like, no one knows who I am. So people just ignore me. So it's actually not a very nice atmosphere. When you go to these events, world premieres are much, much better. Those events are absolutely amazing. So I went to the Alien Day event and there was a spokesperson for Fox that came out, and the impression she gave, she's quite high up in Fox in terms of like the PR and how they kind of deal with the movies and things like that. And the impression that she gave everyone was very much, we've given everything to Ridley Scott. He is in charge, like genuinely, and that resonates through all the marketing as well. From the visionary director that brought you Alien, the creator of the universe, all this kind of bollocks. They were putting everything on Ridley Scott, and I don't think there was that much studio interference, to be perfectly honest. And again, that kind of goes behind the scenes. Everyone has heard, and if you haven't, go look it up. When Ridley Scott says, well, you want aliens, I'll fucking give you aliens.
Yes.
Come on. Like, the man has said it himself. Like, it's, you don't say, oh, but they forced them to give us aliens. No, they didn't. They didn't. Like, I just think it could have been much better. And even the earlier draft of the script was better. Silly little things like, taking your audience and basically thinking that your audience are, an IQ of bloody 1 or something like that. You absolute idiots. The whole telegraphing of Walter and things like that. And as well, like, there's just such inconsistencies in the movie itself. Like, David had a hole in his chin and then it was gone. Why?
Yeah.
Why was that? He doesn't have healing properties at that point. And even if he had changed bodies with Walter afterwards, why didn't his face heal up? Like, there's so many inconsistencies that don't make sense that when you actually then start to think about it, this is the problem, is that it's fine. Like, I maintain, I had a good time with the movie. Like, genuinely, I had a good time with it. But it's when you actually start to stop and think about it, that's when you go, oh, fuck me, my head really hurts now.
Yeah.
Because a lot just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, you're right, the pacing is way off. Like, it trundles along at like a reasonable pace, and then breakneck right at the end, and that's it. What? Sorry? Blink, and then the whole thing's gone. Super weird.
I felt like the flute scene in the middle was strange to me. Like, it was too slow.
Laugh at that?
It lingered too much.
Yeah, massively. But did anyone in your theatre laugh at the whole I'll do the fingering?
My friend Jess. Hi, Jess. Sorry to embarrass you.
Hi, Jess.
When they did the kiss, she was like, oh my god. She was like whacking my arm, and I was like, okay. And I was thinking, like, what the fuck is going on here? This doesn't seem like an alien film to me at all. But then I remembered Blade Runner and Roy Batty's kiss with Terrell, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're still tying it into Blade Runner. Same with the nail in the chin, and stuff like that. So
the thing is, those kind of connections are very superficial and pointless, because as much as Ridley Scott might say that the universes are connected, they're not, because they are owned by separate studios who will never allow them to be connected. And I've seen videos, and that is literally the brunt of it. It's money, and they're owned by different companies, so they are not connected categorically. And a lot of people have gone, oh yeah, but did you not see the engineer in Blade Runner 2049? Stop. Just please go back to that video, right? That is the face of Dave Bautista.
Even I could see that in the cinema. I just don't know why everyone else thought.
God. I get hurt sometimes when I see these things. I just go, really? Come on. Like, I think it'd be great if they're connected. I think it'd be great if that's an engineer. But they're not. Just calm down. Like, it's not.
There are definitely, Easter eggs in each of the films. Like,
yeah, they're made by the same director. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That is all.
But yeah, like I said, those kind of connections to Blade Runner in Covenant detract from the story. And they don't need to be there. They are poor tricks to get people to go, oh, I like this because I've seen it before. That's all it is. oh, that's the spirit, when David says that. Again, why? Why was it there? Genuine, why was it there? Because it's a callback. Because people know it. Because people like it. Because they want to like it. So they put it there because they want the audience to go, oh, I like that. That's cool. That's a nice connection. But actually, when you look at it on a deeper level, that's a redundant piece of script. And it had no place being in an Alien film.
Yeah.
Because it's lazy. That is literally a copy and paste line. Someone just went, oh, we'll use that. Why? Why did you use it? Give me the actual reason. What was the point?
There's other movies that are, like, of course, like, they're not in the same universe. For example, the first Alien movie and The Thing. There's definitely lines that are quite similar. Ripley says and Winstead says, and they're kind of like nods to each other. There's even scenes that are, like, very, very similar. In a way, it's a homage, and it's like, oh, wow, that's nice. You can tell that they were the characters are inspired by each other, but it didn't feel forced.
Exactly.
And I felt like even though I love Covenant, it did feel forced. Those lines, I felt like they could have picked better lines, better people to say it, better words to say it in. So, yeah, I do agree with that.
And again, I maintain, I had a good time with that film. But it's not without its problems. Without a shadow of a doubt. It still has its problems.
What would you say was your most recent, very enjoyable film that you've watched, that you'd probably watch again?
So I very rarely watch films again. I don't know why, I just don't. I don't know. Don't really watch films again. But I absolutely, and I sung its praises, and I genuinely mean it, is The Ritual. It's a horror film. And that's absolutely fantastic. It does so much right. And there's a lot of cliches, but they're done in unique ways. And I think that's a fantastic film. And like some people have said it was on wide release, but it did not get a wide release. Some people have seen it in theatres, but I never saw it. I saw a trailer for it in theatre, but unfortunately never caught it actually at a screening. And that's a fantastic film. Very, very, very good. And then I also watched The Shape of Water. I've seen that twice now.
Oh, really?
And that was, I really like that film. There's some strange decisions, but all in all, it's a very good film. Yeah, I
really
liked
it. I found that one really enjoyable as well.
It's so amazing to have a lead character, incredibly engaging, and yet she says nothing. I think that's a true masterclass there. Like, the director has to really know what he's doing, to create, because obviously Del Toro, that's all of his creation. I believe he wrote that off the top of my head. And that's a man that really knew what he was doing to be able to get the audience so invested in a person that says absolutely nothing aside from a weird intersection towards the end. The black and white scene. I'm just sure I don't want to spoil it for people. But basically, he doesn't say a word, right? So, I don't know. I know that's... And Michael Shannon as well. He needs to be in more stuff. He's such a good actor. Such a good actor. But yeah, so I'd recommend The Ritual. I could recommend that wholeheartedly. That's such a good film. If you're into horror, then yeah, The Ritual. And anyone should enjoy The Shape of Water. It's a good film.
I couldn't believe that the actress Sally Hawkins is actually 41 years old and she's playing a 25-year-old or something.
Is she? Wow.
Yeah.
That is very surprising. Wow.
So I thought it was a really great film. I really enjoyed it. I haven't watched it again because I don't get to go out much and watch movies, but yeah, it was really good. I'd probably buy the home video. Do you buy the digital copies or do you still buy like DVDs?
I've not bought physical media for a while. I do have like very specific things. Well, mainly of comics. I'm like a massive nerd. So I'll buy comics and stuff, physical media in terms of that. But like video media, not really, because, I'm sat at a desk, so I just download it more than anything. Just buy the digital version.
Oh, cool. Is there any movie that you've watched that you've really regretted? Like, you wish you could get that time back of your life and scrub it from your memory?
Yeah, I guess probably not so extreme, but a movie I watched this year that was just utter garbage was The Winchester. And it's a good comparison as well. Oh, it's such a fucking bad film.
Because I've seen posters for it and it looks good.
No. Don't.
I should avoid it.
Well, look, put it this way. If you really like jump scares, go and watch it. You'll have an absolute blast. You will love it. You will probably leave that cinema drooling over that film.
No, I don't particularly like jump scares.
Look, that's all it is. It's a horror film that is extremely paint by numbers. Like, you're looking through a curtain, you know something's going to pop out, something pops out. You're looking in a mirror, he moves the mirror, you know something's going to pop out into the mirror. And it happens. It is a film that has utterly no substance to it at all. And not even, was it Helen Mirren?
Helen Mirren,
I think?
yeah.
Even she can't carry it. Like,
She's a great actress.
She's fantastic, but her performance is utterly forgettable. And she does a good job, but like I don't care about her in that film. I don't care about the other lead, Clark. I can't remember his last name. He was in Terminator Genesis. I honestly can't remember his last name, but he's the main character. Or one of the main characters, and again, can't remember his name, don't care about him, couldn't care less. It's a boring film. I almost fell asleep. Like it's so paint by numbers that anyone would be bored. Like you can't enjoy that film because you know what's going to happen. And it just relies on extremely lazy jump scare storytelling. And the plot is actually all right. It could have been something really good, but it's don't go and watch that. I wouldn't even. Definitely don't pay to see it.
That actor you're thinking about, Jason Clarke?
Jason Clarke, that's fine.
Clarke.
No, Jason Clarke. I wouldn't imagine so looking at them. Let's be honest. But Jason Clarke is a good actor. Like, he's good, but I couldn't care less about him. I don't even know his character's name. That's how boring this film is and how
wow, that's bad, hey? Ugh.
Anyway, and as well, so I watched that. That was my first horror film that I watched this year. And then I watched The Ritual, and I was like, that's how you do it, and that's how you don't do it, you know? It's just such a...
he was supposed to be John Connor. No way.
Did you not know that? He was in Terminator Genesis.
I was half paying attention. I really liked the first two movies. I didn't like any of the ones following at all. I watched them all, but it didn't hold my attention.
Well, I don't blame you. But so don't go and watch The Winchester. And anyone listening, please, God, don't go and watch Winchester.
I will stay clear away from it. But the history is really interesting when it comes to that.
Yeah, the history.
How could they fuck it up? How could they fuck it up so bad? Just
lazy. It is. It's all about lazy storytelling. That's all it is. Just... Yeah.
Because they could have even done it in a Blair Witch style documentary, and it would have been better with the jump scares than this sort of thing that you're explaining.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do jump scares, right? Scrap Helen Mirren, because again, she doesn't add anything to the film. Set it in modern day, have people go there now and it still be haunted. Do that. Don't fucking blow half your budget on Helen Mirren for a performance in a shit film that's garbage anyway, and then set it in period time when you're gonna have to spend more money on outfits and period pieces and
they could have done flashbacks, just a few period pieces and flashback, and
exactly
this time, and that would have been just as effective.
Exactly. There you go. Look, we've made a better film. Yeah.
Straight to video soon.
Yeah, probably.
The worst movie I've ever watched, because I feel like you've talked a lot as well now, so I'm going to say some stuff. Worst film I've ever watched was Babylon AD. I don't know whether you've seen it. Stars Vin Diesel. It's actually an extended edition if you really want to extend the torture.
Really?
Terrible.
I've not even heard of that, I don't think.
Yeah, just don't watch it. Read the synopsis and go, okay. But yeah, I actually physically felt ill watching that film. And it wasn't because of the violence. It was just that shit. Never loathed anything so much in my entire life. So I'm sorry, Vin Diesel. I hate that film. It sucks.
That is, yeah. What about a good movie that you've seen recently that you liked?
Oh, jeez.
Balance it out.
It's really hard because I've got really strange taste in film. But the most recent one was The Ritual that I watched. I think it was soon after you reviewed it. I didn't watch the review. I watched it and then watched your review. It was good. And I guess before that I was watching a TV series or Netflix series called Dark. I don't know whether people have mentioned that to you.
Yeah. I mean, I've caught bits of it, but because I caught bits of it and I know kind of what's going on, I can't really sit down and watch it all now, unfortunately.
That's a pity.
I mean, it is actually, because it looked really good, but I was kind of floating in and out of the room while someone else was watching it, so I can't watch scenes which I've already seen before and know that there's converging timelines and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I know most of it, right? So
yeah,
but that looks great. That absolutely looked fantastic.
What sort of movie are you anticipating to be coming out soon? Apart from Dredd.
So that's a TV series, the Judge Dredd thing.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's a TV series. You'd know if you watched my interview with the producers.
I will watch it after this. I will.
Oh, that was an interesting experience because I'm actually there in front of them and they were on camera, so that was a really weird experience. That was my first ever interview actually, so that was really super awkward.
You haven't chosen to wear something to cover your face?
No. I'm doing a whole face reveal thing soon anyway, to be honest, so my whole facial anonymity will be gone. People will finally know if I'm black or white. since that's a point of contention between some people. Anyway, so what I'm most looking forward to that's kind of coming out coming out soon is A Quiet Place. I think that film bodes really, really well for...
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that. It looks interesting.
It looks amazing. And for me, it looks amazing not because of who's in it, but because of how the potential for sound play. Like I'm a sensory guy, so in a movie, I can pick up on a lot of the sound stuff, and that's one of the reasons why I really like The Ritual. I thought they had great use of sound. I watched it with headphones, so I don't know if that made a difference, but A Quiet Place to me looks like it's going to be. It has such a high possibility of being an insanely good use of sound in that film, and it does look really compelling and interesting anyway. And then outside of that would be Annihilation, Alex Garland's Annihilation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I think that's going straight to Netflix off the top of my head. That's out in the States in about 4 days' time, I think. So that'll be out on Netflix very soon, if I'm right, anyway. So yeah, those two films I'm really looking forward to for this year. And then outside of that, nothing really.
Not even the new Predator? Just kidding.
Yeah, I've read the script. And I know someone who's been to the test screening, and this is why everything that's coming out about it now being further delayed is quite surprising. It's an interesting development that, because obviously I follow movies and I report on them, right? So The Predator's been a really interesting development because if it has been delayed again, which no one's confirmed or denied, that'll be the fourth move this movie has done, which is really bad when they've already had a test screening edit, and then after the test screening edit, they are now doing further reshoots. And it's moved. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. If they hadn't done a test screening edit, or they'd done a test screening edit, then scheduled in the reshoots, because reshoots are a normal thing anyway. Like, every film has them. They've just rose to prominence nowadays, and people are like, oh my god, the reshoots are so bad, the film's going to tank. Shut up. That's not how it works. They are worked into every single production time. But the fact that they're now being done, but we also know that the movie has potentially been delayed even further, that's not a good sign at all. Like, it's really not. I would say that's borderline. I would say people can start to worry about the film now. And like I know Fox pay a lot of attention to what people think. And I know it doesn't seem like it, right? But I've got emails from Fox, and I don't know how much of this I can say, but like, obviously I've revealed information which technically speaking shouldn't actually be out there. But I didn't break any contracts or legalities. There's no legal issue with regards to me. It's other people that fed me the information who will remain anonymous. And so I know, I put the information out there that technically shouldn't be out there, and I've received emails basically saying, can you take this down? We really do not want this out there. So they do listen, and they do have their finger on the pulse, and they do pay attention to forums. It doesn't look like they do, but they do. And I think a lot of the activity surrounding this film has
I've been told that there's a Fox spy in one of my Facebook groups.
Oh, really? Oh, well, hello there. How you doing?
We know you're listening to us and monitoring us.
Dear. But rightly so. I think, to be fair, I think that's a good thing. Because I think it's a good thing in theory. It's a bad thing in practice, because their reactionary efforts on what they spy, generally speaking, leads to failure. Or they just don't listen at all.
Thing, like with Covenant, going back to it, I heard it was the studio fans that insisted that the xenomorph be inserted into the film, and that originally was not the intention. If you have a look at previous concept art by Kang Lee that was released and then retracted and then released again, and also the storyboards which Carlos Huante published on his Instagram, it's a different story. They go through a different, amalgamations of whatever story they want to produce, but ultimately Covenant was not intended to be Covenant. It was supposed to be Paradise Lost, and it had a different narrative, and the characters were a little bit different, and there were engineers, morphing engineers, and someone made the decision, no, get rid of the engineers, we're going to do the xenomorphs because that will sell more, and boy were they wrong.
God, yeah, they really were. I don't know, I don't think that film's going to do very well, basically, unfortunately. It's dependent as well, like I don't think it's going to do very well. But I remain positive. I try.
So. Do you want to see the sequel to that, or see the art end at some point, or do you think they're fine to just leave it up in the air?
To Alien or Predator?
Both.
They have to finish the story with Alien, right? That's without a shadow of a doubt they have to. But I've kind of gone on record and said this as well in a video with regards to Disney and the Fox buyout. That's not confirmed either, by the way, yet. A lot of people have gone, oh, Disney's bought Fox. They haven't, because it's not gone through yet, because Comcast reared their ugly head and was like, yeah, we probably going to throw out a bigger offer. But if Disney get in charge of Fox, it's actually potentially a good thing in terms of rounding out the end of this series, because whether Fox whether you believe the studio is in charge of Ridley or not, it doesn't matter. The choices that have been made are not profitable choices, right? And you can't argue with that, because you only have to look at the money that the movie has taken, okay? And then the critical and fan response. That is not a recipe for success. So regardless of who has done what, it is not working. So with other people in charge, and especially with people quite meticulously in charge, such as Disney, it does actually bode quite well for the end of the series. But it's not happening anytime soon, because Ridley Scott is signed on to do this Merlin shit. So he's not going to be doing it anytime soon. So would they scrap him and move on to someone else? Maybe. Or have they put all their eggs in their one basket and they just want to, let them, I don't know, catch the harvest there. I don't know. But the series absolutely needs to end, without a shadow of a doubt. Has to come to a conclusion. Because again, all setup, no payoff. You're just going to piss everyone off. You have to finish it. If you don't, you're slapping the fans in the face. And anyone else that was invested in it, fans or not. You just can't do it. And now with respect to The Predator is a universe which, like, I like the first three films. I think they've all got good elements to them. I don't like Adrian Brody's impression of Clint Eastwood. I don't like that at all. But I also like what they tried to do with it. Did all of it land? No, of course not. But was it actually, when you're looking at it, a massively bad film? Not really. It doesn't all land, but it's not horrendous. At least each one of them tried to do something different. This upcoming Predator has gone way off the rails. Like, I can tell you some stuff about that script that would make you cringe like fuck.
Oh no.
Well, put it this way. In Predators we saw those like dog-like creatures, right? Well, now we are 100% getting, or they are very wrote into the script in a way which is hard to remove them, predator dogs.
Oh no.
And I kid you not, one of them gets brain dead and befriends the humans.
What?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Spoiler alert, everyone, but it might be removed, so fuck it, who cares? But yeah, no, so there you go. And the issue is, and this is where I think Fox has completely lost their fucking mind, is that they've gone, right, how can we get these franchises back on track? I know. The man who made the first Alien will put him in charge of everything moving forwards in 30 years down the line. A man that pays utterly no attention to any fandom, has not watched probably any of the other movies, doesn't have a bloody clue about anything, will put him in charge. Great idea. No, fucking terrible idea. The man who starred in the first Predator film, Shane Black, will get him to write the new one. What? Why? Are you fucking insane? Who's making these decisions? That doesn't make any sense. Why? What are they going to do on that? I can just imagine like the billboard and the advert now, the movie voice guy from the man that starred in the first Predator. Why? What? Where's the marketing there? Why are you getting Shane Black to do it? He doesn't know anything about the franchise. And admittedly, because again, I can hear the people now screaming, going, but you don't have to know anything about the franchise. You don't have to follow the extended canon. No, you don't. Of course not. But unfortunately, you do have to have some respect for the fans. And to do so, you do have to know kind of what's been going on in between. Because if you alienate your fandom and you still put out a shit movie... yeah, exactly. But... if you alienate your fandom and you've then produced a shit film as well, you've made a film for no one. The film's for fucking nobody. Absolutely nobody at that point. Because you've made a garbage film, no one wants to watch it, and then you've alienated your fandom as well. So it's a lose-lose situation. Because at least if you make it for the fandom, and it is a good film as well, then at least the fandom will get the buzz going at the very least. There's of course, don't make films just for fans, but you still have to respect the fans as well. You have to.
A good example of that is actually Blade Runner 2049. I thought that was a really good film. I really liked it.
Superb. Good film. I really liked it as well.
Well balanced, cinematography is perfect. soundtrack perfect, actors
Sense of scale, awesome.
Yep, script amazing, especially the love scene with the sinking of the two bodies. I actually read up on how they filmed that. Really amazing stuff. It's latest technology. It's just great, and it tanked.
Yeah.
Just people did not want to watch it, whether it was length or maybe some of the long-term fans not really liking what they've done with the universe. I loved it. So
see, that's a tricky one.
I'm new to it, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, with respect to Blade Runner, that's a tricky one because you've made a sequel to a film that actually didn't do very well when it first came out anyway. And has only garnered cult-like status in, the 20, 30 years since it's come out, right?
Yeah.
So, again, who are you making that film for? Because no one liked it when the first one came out. It absolutely tanked when the first one came out. No one liked it at all. So, you're making it for a very, very, very small, a very small majority of people there. But there's also not really a wider audience appeal. There should be, because it's a great film. But as well, I think it's a tricky one because that film tanked because of show times, because it's like a 2-hour 45-minute film. So in the time that film is on, another film could play twice, so it has twice the earning potential that Blade Runner 2049 has. So there's multiple elements to why that film tanked. The time span of it is one thing, and kind of the obviously runtime and that, but it's an interesting one to kind of dissect. That film should have done really well though. It was a good film. I liked it.
I don't know whether a shorter edited version would have been as good. I felt like it was good as it was. Yeah. I've got an inside source that has told me that Blomkamp's Alien 5 is not completely dead yet. It's still on. And they were very specific with the sort of speech that they were using in regards to talking about the film. And even if you listen to the guys at Studio Addy, they said, that the project was postponed or shelved. Unfortunately, Neil didn't take it with the grace that you'd expect him to if they said that, okay, we want your film, but just not right now. And he fully lost it. Do you feel that, do you want to see this Alien 5 that retcons the 3 and 4? Like, I don't know what your opinions are on the other two Alien films that were going to be retconned for it.
Well, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the retconning aspect of it. It's a tricky one. I'm not a massive fan of the kind of retconning aspect of the movie per se, and it also kind of follows on from a really bad game because it's the Aliens Colonial Marines that was universally hated as well. So it kind of follows on from that being a dream and all of this kind of stuff. It takes kind of notes from that. I do think there were some interesting elements with regards to kind of where they were going with it though, and it also serves to kind of continue the story. I'm very much burnt out with respect to Ripley and her story. I don't think her story needs to continue anymore. I don't think it should. But I would have liked to have seen a Neil Blomkamp film in the Alien universe, just because I think he's a great director. And
Ripley wasn't always, Sigourney Weaver wasn't always tied to the project. Originally, she wasn't, and they had a different storyline. They were going to go with Newt, I believe, which I think that would have been great.
Yeah, equally so. That would have been fantastic. I just think he's a good director for the universe. Like, if someone can iron out his kind of, apartheid views and remove the political narrative from his movies, and into the Alien universe, I think it would have been a really good movie. Because he also employs one of the best visual effects companies ever. Like, his movies whatever you think about his movies, they look absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
and
I do love his own studio stuff as well.
Yeah, they're solid, absolutely solid. But whether it's him doing it or the company that he's employed before, for like Elysium and Chappie and stuff like that, those movies look amazing. So just that company in the Aliens universe would have been good, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My thoughts on it are kind of, I'm not one of these like Alien 5 haters. I think the thing is that any, and I've said this before, like any prequel story loses a lot of its weight and risk, because generally speaking prequels always tie into the original, and more often than not they have to feature characters which we would have seen before or elements that we would have seen before, and one, the payoff is never as good as what we hope, but secondly there's no risk to kind of characters. So say if you're exploring I don't know, like just any prequel where you see an earlier version of a character, it doesn't matter because nothing that happens to this person.
Let's go with Star Wars, because I did not like the prequels. I liked Rogue One, that was good.
Yeah, so that's a good element. That's a good example of how to do a prequel. Is that it's an offside story. You know, generally speaking, although we know none of them are going to survive. Spoiler alert: none of them survive. Then you know, anything could technically happen there, right? Anything kind of could happen. But if you're following a story which is, you know, so kind of in a box and is quite tightly knitted to the original story, there's no risk to the characters. Who cares? Who cares? Because you know nothing's going to happen, or you know they're going to die. So who really cares? It's just a matter of time. So in a movie, a story should always move forward or be told like Rogue One, like an offside story elsewhere with different characters, completely new characters, because that's in-universe prequel, but away from the main narrative that you are aware of. So I think an Alien 5 movie would have been good just because it progresses things moving forwards. That element of it would have been good, I think.
Yeah, I like Neil Blomkamp stuff. I'm not a fan of retconning either, because obviously I like all the films. So I don't want them to be retconned. I think that the universe is big enough that they could literally pick another planet and another random person to stumble across aliens somewhere. It's not that hard. It's
I know,
have a look at the timeline. There's a lot of gaps. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot which they could do, and they, for whatever reason, they're quite like blinkered in terms of their thinking of stories for whatever reason. Like you say, there's so many gaps in timelines and stuff like that. It's incredible to think that they haven't realised that for whatever reason. But yeah. Because Prometheus was a good way to do a prequel. Like it was in the universe, away from.
Movie, yeah.
I think it's. I've watched that movie quite a few times. That's a movie that I will rewatch. It has rewatch value for me. Not so much now because it goes into Covenant, but whatever. But that's a good way to tell a story because it has elements of what we know, but it's before, and these people were never seen in the newer ones, so there's risk there. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. Could they die? Yes, they could. You've got no idea. So there is actually, you're watching something which you can actually get invested in and engaged in. So yeah.
Which version of the Xenomorph is your favourite, or which alien is your favourite in general? You could choose a Predalien if you want.
To be fair, I quite like the upper kind of level of the hierarchy, so Praetorian to Queen. I like that element. I think that's nice. It follows the whole kind of molting theory, which I think is cool. I think that was always a good element. I mean, I think that was invented for the games, off the top of my head. But I really like that element. I think it's good. I mean, I would say that. Predalien's always cool, but I don't know. There've always been bad depictions of them. Even in games, there's pretty bad depictions of them. They're always just like a top boss and then they die, and you're like, well, what's the point in that? So I like the whole kind of Praetorian Queen aspect. I think that's kind of cool.
Cool. Going into robotics, because I haven't asked you any robot-related questions. Do you watch any sci-fis featuring robots or AIs?
Name a few, I guess. See, I kind of know what you're talking about, really.
Ex Machina.
I love that. That was fun. Ex Machina is a fantastic film. Speaking of Alex Garland again, that was an awesome film. Best dance sequence in a film for a really long time as well.
Yes. So
good.
It's very random, but I liked it.
But that's the best kind of. That's so good though. Like, who was going to expect that to happen? That film's. Yeah, I've watched films of AI and kind of robotics and stuff. Yeah.
Which would you say is your favourite or character that you like?
Out of AIs?
AIs or robots? You watch iRobot, stuff like that, or?
I don't like iRobot. I don't think that's I'm not a fan. Speaking of kind of, newer modern ones, Ex Machina did a really good thing of creating. Again, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it because it's a really good film. But the ending is not what you think. And it's incredibly bleak, but not for who you think it's going to be for. And I think that was fantastic, and that made that extremely compelling. And although I don't want them to follow it up, it's a film where you go, they can absolutely follow this up, but they should. So for a more modern one, that Alex Garland's Ex Machina, that's superb, and that particular incarnation of AI. For an older one, Bishop in Aliens and Alien 3, the specific actual synthetic, great, absolutely brilliant, just because it explores an evolution of relationship between AI for the characters around him, but also the actual AI itself and kind of how it interacts with the human aspect, and then it follows it up even further in Alien 3. It's only for a moment, but the interaction in Alien 3 is awesome, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch it again. There's a real softness and kind of sadness where the interaction in Alien 3 between the two.
I like the part where he says, "Oh, you got a new haircut. I like it."
Exactly. Yeah. It's the subtle things like that. When compared with Aliens, how the kind of characters evolved and their interaction as well. Awesome. I think that's really, a really good example of AI in film.
You said that you're a big fan of the comics. Which are your favourite ones or favourite series?
So I really like the crossovers. So I've got a lot of the kind of top-down crossovers of The Darkness with the Witchblade and Aliens and Predator. And there's Aliens, Predators and Terminator crossovers. One of the better ones, in my eyes, amalgamates both my kind of fandoms, I guess. Fandoms, if you use the word. But there's Judge Dredd versus Aliens Incubus. And that's a really good story. It's a really, really good story.
I haven't read any of the crossovers yet. I'm still quite new to the comics. I've read the books, so I'll have a look at that when I have the time.
It's really, you can buy it in a hardback actually.
Yeah.
The artwork alone is superb, fantastic artwork. The story's great as well, and it's a bit of fun, but there is also a real risk of like, oh well, crap, what can kind of go on here? It's got a soft spot in my heart. I really like that one.
Cool. I will actually. I'll have to have a look if I can get it on my iPad. I think.
Well, if you can't, I've got a whole complete story video on my channel.
Awesome.
Well, I do actually try and do some stupid voices, so you'd have to probably put that on one side.
Oh, that's okay. I was going to ask you, have you heard the audio dramas, the Alien ones, on Audible?
Yes, I have, because someone thought I was actually in them. Because a lot of people think that I'm Colin Salmon, the black guy from AVP.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think that is a compliment or not?
Well, initially I didn't see it at all, and then obviously, I started the channel and everyone kept saying it. And then I took a listen, I was like, there's a little bit of a similarity there. It's not really an insult or anything. I mean, it's just, I guess it's an acknowledgement of a deep voice. I mean, is that an insult or a compliment? It's really neither, is it, to be honest? But I'm not overly familiar with them. I've never really listened to them, but I'm familiar with the fact that they exist, I guess.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I know that they put some money behind them. They really kind of went for it, which is nice. Because I remember the adverts for them were everywhere. They're all over the videos on YouTube and everything, which is pretty nice to see.
I completely missed them.
What? How? Good Lord.
I have no idea. I guess I wasn't particularly searching for it, so it didn't come up on my advertising. I use a lot of ad blockers as well. I hate ads.
Okay. You're a YouTuber's worst nightmare. You fucking got that. God, not good.
It's alright, if you do the Emperor's voice, I'll just keep
God.
throwing money at you.
I did it after the live stream, actually. I gave myself a little pat on the back. It was better after the live stream.
Oh, yeah. It's always bad when you got, the pressure on, so...
and it's so stupid. They've got no reason to be, embarrassed or feel pressured, because I'm sat in a room by myself, but... Yeah, still there.
You're human,
Yeah.
If you could choose a robotic enhancement for your body, what would it be, and what would you like it to have the ability to do?
I would like the robotics and also the laws of that universe to apply. Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix now apparently. So.
Not the movie so much, but just the kind of the cartoon, the anime.
Oh yeah.
There's a live action movie which is, I do not want to kind of compare it to that. But yeah, the laws of that universe are great. And if I had the kind of abilities of the main character, the robotics of that universe would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Me, I think I would upload my consciousness into the cloud and just live there. I'm not a fan of human bodies. I would like to get rid of this meat sack and go join my digital brethren.
That's an interesting one. I always the kind of fear there would you get lost in data? When you become data, what are you? When you're surrounded by other data, do you retain a consciousness? I guess.
Well, that's going to be a future for the human race, I assume, at some point. Approaching the singularity.
Yeah, high possibility.
I don't think individuality would matter that much. For me, it doesn't matter. So whether I retain myself as a consciousness or whether I just become a greater bit of matter that control people from anywhere, yeah, it doesn't bother me. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all the questions I've got. So if you could give us a summary about what you want to do in the future, like what sort of opportunities you'd like to pursue?
Yeah, sure. My main focus is kind of on the channel at the moment. I'd like to get to the point where, you know, I can do it, you know, full time and feel very comfortable in that aspect. You know, I put a lot of time and effort into the channel, but I also want the channel to kind of evolve and grow, which it is doing anyway. You know, I kind of went away from alien topics and stuff, which was the mainstay, to obviously opening it up to other things. And I'd like to continue that and continue pursuing that, you know, and move forward with that kind of evolution of stuff. You know, once I've done this stupid face reveal that everyone keeps banging on about, one of the aspects will be vlogging, but not your average kind of vlog. It'll just be once a week. And that's mainly just to show people more of an insight into kind of what goes on behind the scenes, but also to engage with everyone a little bit more. Because, you know, I'm a disembodied voice. No one knows anything about me. No one knows, you know, you don't know anything, right? You just get the video and that's it. That's just a presentation which I give you. So it'd be nice to kind of connect with people a little bit more behind the scenes and also take people to these events which I go to. You know, the second time I watched The Shape of Water was at Fox's offices. Was that last week, I think? You know, and it'd be cool to, you know, take a camera along and show people 20th Century Fox's offices and show you their mini cinema in their building in the middle of London. I mean, that's cool, right? You know, not many people get the opportunity to do that, and I'm really thankful. And the only way I have the opportunity to do that is because of people watching my channel. So if I can share the opportunity that they've given me with them somehow, I can't take them, obviously, but if I can take them in some form and show them, then that would be really cool. I'd like that. So there'll be, you know, kind of a weekly vlog and things. And just, I hope to do meetups this year as well. That's one of the other elements of the kind of face reveal. It allows me to say, right, I'm going to be in London at this time, this day, come and meet me. You know, let's hang out, let's go grab lunch and go to the cinema, right? Which is a kind of a universal thing. So because I've got such a wide variety of age range on my channel, you know, everyone can enjoy food and most people can go to the cinema. So it's kind of a universal thing that you can share, you know, with people which have afforded me the opportunity to do this, which again is kind of my way to kind of give back. A lot of people have gone, oh, will you charge for it? No, fuck off. Why would I charge money for that crap? It's insane. I don't understand. But I guess that's the kind of reputation that, you know, YouTubers on a whole have nowadays, that they charge money for everything. Someone even asked in that live stream, would you do signings? What am I going to sign? What?
People were saying t-shirts.
Yeah, but why do you want my signature? Do you see what I mean? Like, I am literally the most normal person you'll ever meet in your life. You know, so if I can give back some of the opportunities, if I can give back to the people that have given me the opportunities, which I think are amazing, then that's kind of what I want to do, and that's how I want to kind of take this channel. And also continue what I do at the moment, which is just everything I do. You know, because people enjoy it. So, you know, I enjoy doing it. I wouldn't do it otherwise. I'd like to interview more actors. I put out a video today, an hour-long interview with the new Pinhead of the Hellraiser film. You know, I'd like to interview more people. And that's it, really. I guess just kind of trundle along. It's, you know, it's fun doing what I do. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could take you up on that offer, going to a movie. That'd be cool. But I'm all the way in Australia, so.
Yeah. I've got no plans to go back to Australia anytime soon. That flight is horrendous. Not fun.
That's the same reason why I won't go over there either.
Yeah, I mean, it's mutual agreement there on the kind of flights. Then that is, I mean, it is literally the other side of the planet. So.
Well, if I ever happen to be on your side, I'll flick you a message.
Yeah, definitely. But this is the thing. Like, I encourage anyone that, you know, I'm always open to talking to people and kind of, you know, kind of get, well, I say give back, but I mean, I'm not sure how much this gives back to anyone, but, you know, I'm open to taking up, you know, opportunities and things and trying to give back as best I can. So, you know, if anyone wants to chit chat with me and put it on something which, you know, people might enjoy, then yeah, I'm more than open to stuff like that. So if you ever come over here, we'll go watch a movie. How about that?
Woo! Exciting. All right. Awesome. Is there any questions you want to ask me? before we wrap this up?
Who else are you interviewing?
Oh, I was going to publish it on my Facebook, but since you're not on Facebook, I may as well tell you. I've got a list here. Hold on. I've got to be interviewing Alien Theory.
Cool. Yeah.
Which is
Derek's a good
awesome.
guy. Pretty cool.
I've got Wayne Hagg, who did the concept art for Covenant.
That would be a cool one. That'd be good.
Dominic Hailstone, he did the practical effects for Covenant. He made the super face hugger.
Nice.
Let's see. We've also got Cass from Dungeon Effects, who did the hero puppets on the Covenant movie.
Oh.
And we've got a couple of people who write fan fiction or they role play, so the RP characters. So I'm going to talk to them about, why do they RP, how do they embody the character, things like that. A couple of artists, and so it's interviewing people who have worked on the movies or on the most recent movie, and fans who create stuff, who are part of giving back to the community in your ways and other ways. So it's
a nice, interesting cross-section, man. That'd be good.
Yeah, it's interesting and getting everyone's opinions, because obviously they vary, because everyone's different, and everyone gets into the fandom for different reasons, or gets into the movies for different reasons. So it's been very interesting. I've got Wayne Hagg's interview going to be published at the end of the month on my blog. Dominic Hailstone's one is up at the moment, which I think it was pinned on my Twitter, but now we're into debating whether Bishop at the end of Alien 3 was actually human or robot. And I know for a fact he was human, but so many people think he's a robot, and I'm just...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
And it's different, because I've got people who are voting on Twitter, and I've got people who are voting on Facebook. And the Facebook proponent is really strongly... I've got to see what the update is, actually, because it might have changed, because it's really very close to 50-50, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Even though the Weyland-Yutani report specifically says he's human and that he died.
But it's not canon. It's not canon, right?
So 41% currently voting human, 59% voting android. We've had 414 votes out of about 3,000 people who've bothered looking at it and going, I'm not going to be part of this again. And it's that bad. And I was just having a conversation with someone on Twitter, and they tagged me in this collector card for Alien 3, and it has commas in certain places, and it sounds like Bishop is actually an artificially designed android as opposed to the designer of the android. So I was like,
right.
Let's see how many people know. Oh, it's nearly 50-50 on Twitter. 49% say human, 51% say synthetic, out of 111 votes. But we've got 4 days left, who knows? We'll see. Can't
Been
believe
interesting
we're still
outcome.
debating this.
Yeah. God,
So
funny fandom. Funny fandom.
I've also interviewed Scott Middlebrook of Alien Universe Timeline. He keeps canon for Fox Studios. He adds all the media and stuff like that, and if things clash, he writes down why, and obviously lets the director or the writer know.
Well, you can ask him whether AVP's canon now, can't you? You can ask him.
It's not currently. It
go.
was, and now it's not. And I
because
think
Prometheus retconned it, right?
no, it's because it was the decision that it wasn't going to be canon anymore because they didn't like AVP being connected to Alien. I think it's something to do with that. But, you could still make AVP canon to Alien. It just takes a little creative thinking. But I think Fire and Stone currently is not, although there are parts of it, I think the Aliens part of it could still be canon, but because of its status as a crossover, they've removed it. But the new comics like Dead Orbit and Defiance are canon, as long as they don't clash with the movie as well. So
Goddamn.
there you go.
It's always about clashes.
Although I think Alien Isolation, even though it clashes with the director's cut of Alien, it doesn't clash with the theatrical cut, so it's still canon because they use the winch to get down into the room to carry Dallas back to the ship in the director's cut, but in the theatrical they skip that bit completely. But in Alien Isolation, when you go there, the tripod's still there. So, there's little details like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else?
Go look at my YouTube. No.
No. We are going to link to your YouTube and the videos that you've mentioned. Is there any particular one you want us to put onto the blog post?
No, I don't know. Just share whatever you want. To be honest, share whatever you think share what video you personally liked. I would say
I'll share the videos I like to my Yutani Facebook. Now that I didn't know how YouTubers work, so thank you for letting me know. And I want to support the videos that I like, so I'll share those.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I've got other people who are part of Yutani Corp who don't share the same views as me, but might like some of your other videos, so those might be shared as well. So you never know.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the interview as well. It was good. Came out of nowhere, so I appreciate the opportunity to sit and shoot the alien crap. It's good.
Thank Wayne Hagg and Dominic Hailstone, because Dom's busy. And Wayne, he's next to Sydney Olympic Park, and they're going through some sort of construction 24 hours a day, and it's too noisy to record. So there you go. You jumped the queue.
Well done, me. Yay.
And the other people, they just didn't want to be first. I shall not name them.
Goody. Good.
So thank you for spending time with me and talking. Really appreciate you putting the time aside.
Cool. Yeah, no. I mean, let me know on Twitter and I'll kind of share it as well.
Cool. I would appreciate that, but it's not necessary.
All right. I'm still going
I don't want you to think that I'm doing this just for the shares.
I have no one follows me on Twitter, so I will still share it though, because I think people will still find this interesting. So definitely.
Yeah. I'll share it on all the Alien and Predator Facebook groups I'm on. So yeah.
Jeez. Not on aliencovenant.com, please. They hate me over there. Fucking hate my guts.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not going to get into it because I will end up getting very, very angry.
It's been really great chatting with you. Thank you for coming onto the show.
I appreciate it. It's good. Good fun.
Getting to know you. That's really awesome. But it's really great to finally get to know you, other than your live streams and your videos.
Yeah, the live streams are more candid now anyway, so I'm kind of showing myself a little bit more. Yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit more. I don't know. It's difficult when you're trying to build something where people, like, if you give an opinion in any way, shape, or form, people just lose their mind over it, because obviously people have conflicting opinions, so it's quite difficult. So I am being much more candid now and kind of revealing my opinion on certain bits and pieces more and more. It's tricky. It's tricky to kind of weigh it all up and know what to share and when not to share it and stuff. And a lot of people say, it's not being yourself. Well, no, it is. It's just being tactful and also tactical. You don't have to reveal everything, because sometimes what you think you should reveal is just you being a bit of a dick. So sometimes you do have to stop and think and just go, oh, should I actually say this? No, probably not. Yeah.
I wish I had that filter in my brain, because I can be a total bitch, and sometimes people will go, oh wow, I thought you were really nice. No, sorry. You just didn't get on my wrong side. So
oh dear, jeez. Takes practice, that's for sure.
Yes, it does. I'll take lessons.
Oh, but not from me. I don't think I succeed. Especially not now.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome. I would like to have you on one of our podcasts again in future, like say when the Predator and when and if another Alien movie comes out, and obviously it'll be after you release your video.
Sure.
So
Yeah, sure.
I can
that'd be awesome.
Put that on my blog. So yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much for your time. Really great meeting you. Thank you for doing this, and I will post links to your videos that we've discussed. Do you have a Patreon page?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. It's in the description box of every video.
Cool.
Along
Obviously,
with
I haven't checked
Twitter.
this.
No, it's all right. It's fine. Honestly, it's fine. It's fine.
I'll post that too. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right. Is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners of the podcast before you go?
I hope you enjoyed it. If you watch my videos and you enjoy them, thank you so much. Again, the only reason someone asks me to be on something like this is because of you guys watching the videos. Obviously, I make them, but they don't go anywhere unless people watch them. So, I do appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed a little bit more of a kind of a candid version of Mr. H reviews, as opposed to my very historian-like narrative in most of the videos. There's a little bit of an insight into kind of more of me and my sense of humour, I guess. But yeah, no, thank you very much for watching the videos and stuff. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast, obviously.
Yes, and this is also proof that people with very different views can get along and discuss maturely without throwing, death threats or insults or stuff like that. So take note, people.
Yeah, exactly. This is a prime example. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be a fuckhead. Thank you. Cool. All right, this is Mother signing off. Catch you later.
This is Colony Ship Covenant, reporting. All crew members apart from Daniels in Tennessee tragically perished in a solar flare incident. All colonists in hypersleep remain intact and undisturbed, on course for Orgai 6. Hopefully this transmission will reach the network and be relayed 6 years.
You can now support Yutani Podcast on Patreon and subscribe to yutani.blog to stay up to date